well, it's sort of appropriate. We open.
Fuck!
We open like that. I know. It's appropriate because
Fuck!
Sweary Canary went home, and we were hoping to provide you with, our normal recount of what happened, but
The cooling rack just didn't fucking do their job, did they?
They didn't fucking review the show.
Sweary Canary went home, and the cooling rack didn't do their job. We have no fucking podcast. That's it.
They got a guest. They got a fucking guest.
Fuck that.
We can't get a fucking guest.
Fuck them. Hold on. I've got an idea.
Okay.
If we just concentrate and we just channel the Sweary Canary, just
Okay.
Just use the magic word.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Fuck!
How the fuck are you, Chris?
Yes! Sweary Canary!
Why did you summon me here? You know I was in the bake-off shed, so you fucked up my chances.
No, we'll talk about that in a minute because speaking of fucking up people's chances, we'll get into it at the start. The curse. Right, I'm going to open with forget how are you, forget the great to have you here, forget all that sort of stuff. The damn curse.
Now, the curse was not my doing, clearly. It was a conspiracy theory that was floated by my other half, Nick, funnily enough. He sat there and he just looked at it and he went, oh, fuck, you've been sitting next to everyone who's been sent home.
But here's the problem, was that the 1 week where you were down to, like, numbers that meant you had nobody next to you, you took yourself out.
Yeah, no, so you missed the outtake, which is they actually sat me outside the bake shed just by myself, really far, far away from anyone else, so...
Was that just to have a good long hard look at yourself, or...?
Pretty much. You go sit over there, brother.
Now, what I find really funny about this whole situation, apart from the fact we're talking to you anyway, is that I think we had the exact same idea at the exact same time as the cooling rack. I think it was pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, personally, I'd love to hear the half an hour that Paul did. I assume it was something along the lines of the way I started the show.
I think there's a lot of choice words through there.
Yeah, I think that must have been what it sort of was.
So, Fiona, what kind of rant do you think he had, and what do you think he would have ranted about specifically? Oh, look at me, I'm interviewing.
Look at you.
Yes.
I'm picturing Paul just going around his house with a baguette and just smashing everything in sight. And just going off, like, it's making a noise to the point where the swearing is like being cast down. It's a noise that only dogs like can do.
Spaghetti bashing with the best of them.
And then, talking about how the baguette is too crunchy, and so, he's destroyed everything as a result of the crunch factor.
And of course, while he's looking at this baguette, he's either product placing the bakery that's down the road from him. Or the other thing which brings it around very neatly to something that I think we need to get Fiona's involvement in, which is when they went to Paris.
Yes.
Now, you've heard things.
Actually, you know what? Let's scrap that. I reckon he's climbed to the top of the Eiffel Tower, King Kong styles, just shaking his fist, cursing in English, cursing in French, cursing at everything.
So maybe the reason why Tegan doesn't seem to remember it is blocking it out.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Just Paul swinging off the side, yelling about Stephen Moffat and Doctor Who. Just screaming down at everybody in French, and Tegan, they're going, come down, Paul.
Oh, I would just love to think that he's like, I'm le fucked off.
I'm le shitty.
You guys are so fluent.
I know, it's like we're in Paris.
It's like we're in Paris. Well, as I'd imagine it would be in Paris.
And I'd love to have that real ochre Australian accent that we all do and butcher the French language. So Paul's just on top of the Eiffel Tower and Tegan's now joining.
Le merde!
Mesdames and messieurs.
No, I actually suspect that Tegan would end up being quite fluent because, as we know, she is the voice of the people. And I think she's probably the voice of the people in, well, let's face it, any language.
Indeed. Hey, can I just not segue, like wedge in a random anecdote that just came to my mind.
Please.
I know someone who has been to Paris, and that's my younger sister. And when she was about 16, maybe a bit younger, she went to Paris for world gymnastic stuff because she was really good then. I know. She was like on the way to the Olympics, but shit fucked up.
That's the technical term.
That's the technical term. I'm sorry, you can no longer compete. Shit fucked up. So she's wonderful, and I love my sister dearly, but she was looking at her itinerary and she goes to me, Christy, is there a lot of storms in Paris? And I went, I don't know. It's summer at this time of year, so maybe. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, why? She goes, oh, because it says lightning tour of Paris.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Oh, no.
She's going there storm chasing as well as doing the Olympic dream, and I love it.
I think that's possibly, though, a more accurate Paris story
Yes.
than anything we've heard on the Cooling Rack so far.
And that was just reading an itinerary.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So what we can
Sorry,
do.
Tuck in there, Christy, that I'm picturing your sister just hanging on some like gymnastic rings going, Mrs. Carmelhorn. I'd like to get down there.
No.
So to bring this randomness back around, because this is going to be three people laughing for the whole thing. I think to actually make this podcast what it's supposed to be, what it says on the tin, so to speak. I think we have to get Sweary Canary to review Sweary Canary on the Cooling Rack.
Absolutely.
So how was your performance on the Cooling Rack?
I think it was just fucking good fun. Hey?
Yes.
So I was really like quite surprised that like Paul and Tegan really wanted to have a chat to me because I didn't know what their demographic of like listeners were. Was it small children under 10? Do I need to watch my mouth? You know, but it was so much fun, and it was so nice to sort of speak to the people that have been following me, really. So I have been a really late adopter of Twitter, and I've only sort of jumped on the Twitter bandwagon more intensely through the whole Bake Off thing. And I have to say, the Twitter sphere is really awesome. The Bake Off fans on the Twitter sphere are great.
Yeah,
you guys,
and you were born for Twitter. Like,
I know. I seem to have found my calling. I think I'm like all this time I've been wasting time with Facebook. You know, Instagram's getting up there, but Twitter, man, like it's born for the Sweary Canary.
I would love to just be a professional tweeter. Good job.
professional tweeter.
What do you do? Just tweet. What are you tweeting? Yes, things. Simpsons gifs. Arrested Development gifs.
Paid you for your passion.
Yeah, sadly that'll never happen when we all know my true passion is dance. Anyway.
But then you could review the tweets of other like.
And then review tweets of other Twitter. Yeah, exactly. This is my calling, is reviewing other people's reviews of things. It's a passion, and it's a long held passion. It's a gift.
It's a gift.
Like,
you can't teach it.
You can put your gift in a GIF.
Nice. But what I actually did like about even though I said we made fun of at the start the fact they didn't even bother to review the show for this week.
It was a delight to listen to.
It was
the interview.
It was great. The reason why we started this was because the Cooling Rack is just so much fun to listen to.
Oh yeah. And
then we put you on Cooling Rack, and yeah, it's
like I love it when two of my favorite things come together. You know, when
wearing and podcasts. No, they have just done such a great job, and so have you guys. I love that. You know, you're reviewing their review, which is just fantastic. And I'm like, this could go for miles because then I'm going to review your review. And
yes, we heard that, and I'm in favour of it.
We need to mention the pool more because I want that to be a thing for her. She can talk about how much we're in the pool.
Yes,
and it gives us more excuses to get in the pool.
You're just looking for reasons to swim.
But Paul and Tegan, their review of the show is what I ended up looking forward to, even possibly more than the show back.
And it's the little nuanced things that they pick out, and that's something that I love. Is where, you know, Paul will pick up something weird like, you know, Noel, and just pick Noel for no real reason, and just decide that Noel is, as I suggested, a Cyberman from Doctor Who, and just runs with that for a period of time. And then one week you get this softening towards Noel, and the next week it's like, nope, never liked him. He hates chocolate, never liked him. And it's those little things that they pick up. And of course, toot toot, and that's a thing.
Toot toot freight fucking Antonio.
They've introduced it into the lexicon now of like everyday modern language. It's if you say toot toot, you know, people are actually starting to understand what it means.
See, I reckon, much like you summoned me here, I reckon if you just went toot toot, Antonio would just be pulling something out of the oven immediately.
I think that's the easiest way to do it. Just,
no prep, just, you know, bang on.
Just start yelling out toot toot and just wait to hear the oven opening up.
Ding.
And just having baked goods appear.
No, we know what happens. The ding follows either Tegan or Paul rapidly inhaling. We've heard this many times before. Now, to sort of actually bring it around to something somewhat sensible. I know. I'm
doing
no, because what I actually do want to bring it back to is something that we've actually discussed with Fiona on Twitter, which is the fact that she sort of flew completely under the radar for the whole thing.
It's the
Wasn't Star Baker once.
Asia ninja-ness.
How do you get that far through in a show like Bake Off and not like ever really step up to the top?
Look, if you watch back a Bruce Lee movie, you'll see that many people just hang out in the background hoping not to get hit, and that was pretty much me. I adopted that from the get-go.
You adopted the mantra. Most people go, I like a Bruce Lee mantra. You're like, I'm like a Bruce Lee extra.
Exactly. And it seemed to have worked for me, so don't knock it.
No, I'm not knocking it at all. I think it works spectacularly well because you emerge briefly to swear and then duck your head back down again.
See, I hibernate for most of it, come out for a season of swearing, and then go back away to my little hibernate.
Perfect. And when one of the things that we did talk about the other week when we made the prediction, and by the way, thanks for ruining my top three. But one of the things we said the other day when we were doing those predictions is that one of the things that we gravitated towards you was because you had these really good ideas for bakes.
Oh, thank you.
What's your inspiration?
I'll let her ask that because that's a good one.
What are you wearing? Who are you wearing? Like red carpet questions.
Who are you channeling?
It literally is the Eric Cartman thing. I basically bake what I want. Be damned anyone else. Oh, you're allergic to nuts. Too bad.
Fiona, what are you doing? That's cayenne pepper and paprika and a baby seal.
Yeah, dude, I want.
Like it. So no, and it's basically as selfish as it sounds. And hashtag sorry, not sorry. I basically bake what I want to. So Nick is always saying, "Oh, bake me banana bread or carrot cake and stuff." I'm like, "Fuck that! I don't eat those shit. Like, no. I make what I want."
Bake uzu.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Just get blind shit drunk in the bake-off shed.
No, but we because that's sort of how I taught myself to cook by just sort of going, this flavour. Let's try it, shall we?
See, I have an autistic mouth. Okay, this is going to sound really, really weird. Okay,
brace yourself.
I have an autistic mouth, so like I'm very. God, this is going to sound so wrong, but like I can like envision what things will taste like, even when I haven't actually tasted them. If someone can describe it good enough, and I'm like, okay, I'll give that a whirl, and it usually works. And that's why I'm good at cooking, but shit at baking, because baking takes a bit of precision and actually knowing what you're doing. You're just going off some like weird instinct in your mouth. I don't know how I evolved this ability.
So let's test this autistic mouth. If I describe a dish to you, you have to describe to me what it would taste like.
Do it. Let's
All right,
go.
let's do this.
Pig trotters, some tripe, canned pineapple, tin pineapple for my, Olivia, like.
Olivia, yeah.
Olivia, represent.
Yep. Chuck in some uzu in there for sure. Why not? And maybe just a dash of cinnamon. What does that taste like?
Okay, that's going to have a real kind of gelatinous texture on the mouth with like little pops of almost sweet but not quite sweet tinned pineapple coming through that's kind of fallen apart, mixing with a bit of the pork flavour, and the tripe is just going to like make you go, what the? Because tripe doesn't have flavour. It takes on everyone else's flavour.
Okay, now with the tripe, I need to back in here for a story. Because let's face it, they didn't hold to their format this week, so we're not holding to ours. the first time I ever took Christy to Yum Cha,
I've been to Yum Cha a lot, okay?
but the first time that I'd taken you to Yum Cha.
But I was very nervous because it was the first kind of date-ish. Not the first one, but one of the first.
And there's plates going around, obviously, and we're all sort of grabbing bits and pieces. And Chrissy's like, I want those noodles over there. And I'm looking at the noodles going, they're not noodles. She's like, yep, you want those? I want those. Yes, I want those. Puts them on the table. I'm looking at them going, I know what that is. No.
And then I realised I knew what it was, but I'm like, can't back down now. I've made a big deal about this.
And as she's gone, they're not noodles, are they? And I went, no, that's tripe.
And I'm like, all right, this is going in.
Oh, the commitment to the culinary world, Christy.
Yeah,
Well done.
I know.
Bravo.
It's an outstanding level of commitment that really knows no bounds.
And now this segues into when you were in China.
When I was in China.
When I was in China and just soaking up the ambience of the Guangzhou province.
And the smog. Always.
Always the smog. Eternally the smog. But my other thing with the when we were talking about the baking and doing what you want and what's your inspiration, my other question was going to be a little bit more harsh, which was, did you ever actually nail any of those bakes at any point in time?
On the show, outside?
Yes. It's any time, whenever.
Well, okay, so the last one, let's talk about the week that went by.
Let's talk about this, shall we?
Let's talk about the actual show. I was really excited when I had the brainwave of trying to do the Vietnamese coffee finger buns, because I sat there and I thought, oh yeah.
Which Paul and I both went mental on Twitter about at the same time.
Well, Papa Sweary Canary, I'm like, got to think of the old pops. And my practice one, which I think I may have posted up on Instagram, looked the shizzle, and the bread was great. But of course, I forget that, when you're outside of the shed, you have unlimited time. And then when you're inside the shed, it's 5 minutes. So
when you're inside the shed, you suddenly look up as everyone's going, that's it, bake's over. Yeah. And you're looking there piping going, what?
No, so that reaction you saw of me just looking up going, you're kidding, time's up, was me literally just defecating and soiling my pants.
We did go back on the Foxtel and rewound, and because we could pause it at the exact moment it broke. Much like Ralph Wiggum.
This moment there, she realizes she's going home now. And I think the problem for the episode was that from that moment on, it seemed that the die was almost cast, and you were going to be really clawing to get out.
Yeah, it was a really tough week. There was just, I don't know, time management just went completely out the window. I was probably distracted by the train noises that Antonio was making.
Yeah, just all this lots of tooting and everyone going, what? He goes, a couple of months' time, make perfect sense.
And the fact that, Monica, I think, was not baking but gardening as well.
She does seem to have unlimited time.
Both Antonio and Monica, I tell you what, amazing.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring up the point that how does Antonio manage to, and it sort of segues in, so we should probably do the theme quickly, Christy. So,
okay.
So Antonio, boy genius. He just seems to swan around the tent and not be really stressed about anything. And then opens his oven and there's brilliant baking in there.
Yeah,
wow.
The rest of the time building the little patisserie shop, which I'm sure he's about to launch.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what's happening. I'm sure he's sort of got a shop going.
He's doing his homework in the corner.
There's T-shirts being sold, little train on the front with toot-toot.
But from the very get-go, I was in there with my little blinkers on, and everyone's obviously focused on what they're doing, really good energy going into it. And then when the shit hits the fan, you look up and someone's built an ark, rounding the 2x2 animals onto the ark. And then, Boyan's fixing a car. Cheryl,
Boyan, we miss you.
Training, the Melbourne Cup winner. It's all just pear-shaped, and then I just lose my shit going, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, everyone else has got, it is a little bit like a sort of talent pageant, isn't it? Everyone's doing their side skills as well as baking, and Fiona's was introducing swearing to the English language.
Mine was Miss Rhode Island on Seinfeld coming out and singing because my pigeons had died.
Hey, that's a skill.
Boy, how many times have I told you boys?
That's a skill. That's a definite skill. But I think that it's interesting to watch how it's always interesting, I think, in every series, not just this series, but every series, to watch how that time pressure sort of affects people differently. And I think the interesting part for us watching it from the outside is, and again, I don't know in terms of how it comes across while you're there, but from the outside, you can just see there are just people that just seem to have this time that's unlimited.
Yeah, and I think Antonio and Monica have got that down pat, the timing, but also just the skill that's involved in the stuff that they bring out week in, week out was just incredible.
Yeah.
Other people, it wasn't so much time, it's just that I think everyone in the Bake Off shed was just really ambitious.
Yeah.
You know, we really wanted to showcase what we could do. And yeah, you run out of time because everyone was thinking really big and brash, and sometimes it sort of went really well, and other times it didn't quite get there, but you could sort of see what the ambition was, and I really respect that. I mean, they was crazy creative.
Yes, sometimes you get crazy ambitious and you're trying to survive, and then you decide to do, I don't know, 12 signs of the Oriental Zodiac.
I told you it's not Fiona's fault, it's Buddha's fault. He commanded 12 animals.
Confucius, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you, Buddha. Sorry, Buddha.
My response again was 12. You're in trouble. 12. 12.
Chris, just back off. I had my abacus out. I did the calculations. It was fine.
There's your problem. The abacus doesn't help you carry the one.
And then I was too busy writing the fortune cookie.
Yes, and then you were too busy doing the horoscope to go with it. And
yeah, every horoscope, by the way, was fuck you.
No, I see Fiona winning Bake Off in the future.
You will find happiness with a new love. Nowhere out of those ones. Let's just stick with your wife.
Well, the other one was try again later.
Or my favourite being, this insert has a protective coating. I love that fortune because it always does.
It's true.
It always does.
It's true.
It never fails. But I think we have to go to Pie Week, don't we?
Pie Week. Yes. Fuck yes.
So
I'm sorry, I'm getting flashbacks. I'm getting PST.
You were there, damn it. You were there. Not going to go through the incident.
Oh, you don't want to traumatize us straight away?
No, I don't want to traumatize us straight away.
Gently.
I actually really liked the general concept of the pies. I thought, again, like with everything else we've talked about with your ideas were brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
No, I have to disagree. I sort of going around that shed, hearing what everyone was putting up, I'm like, oh, crap. That is just ridiculously creative. Like, I loved James's idea because I love a ploughman's platter, can I just tell you? So I like that, he did this real sort of meal sort of theme. Monica did the same. And so I was just looking at mine going, it's so boring by comparison. I need to try and jazz it up. And I thought, a last minute decision to do the rhubarb lattice. I thought, oh yeah, that'll work. Hopefully, let's, fingers crossed. And so that's why I was as peeved as I was.
I thought you were about to say the last minute decision to change it up by dropping it. Everyone else has made their pies and I'm going, this is boring. I need to jazz that up. I know, I'll spike it.
No, well, floor pie. That's it.
Floor pie.
Exactly. Floor pie, I think, again.
I'm sure that's something I had like at this, what's it called, pub in Newtown called the Sly Fox on a Wednesday night. Floor pie.
Not to
in my 20s.
Not to be confused with the Pie Tin. The Pie Tin, excellent pies at Newtown. Come on, we want a sponsorship, damn it.
No, maybe that's too desperate.
I think that was the turning point for me with everyone else. I was conscious of the cameras, conscious that, this was going to be broadcast to, women and children, and, families everywhere. And yeah, I lost my bundle just because I was so angry that I gave this a go. It looked the shizzle from what.
Yeah, it looked incredible, and I think you are right there because what we sort of noticed after that week was you just relaxed.
Yep.
You relaxed a lot more, and I don't mean relaxed in terms of just swearing at everybody, because if you remember, and we tweeted this back to you during, and we talked about it on the podcast during what I'd like to refer to as Filth Week. Innuendo City Limits, you were the one who was the most well behaved.
And I think I was really conscious of the fact that I had just, woken the coma patient down the road with the swearing earlier. Oh, I better turn it down because they might very well just ask me to leave because it doesn't.
You might be the first contestant who bakes something perfectly and they just go, leave. What's wrong? That's too good.
If you look really carefully, I poke my head in through the windows just swearing at people. We're getting some feedback. Can anyone work out where that noise is coming from?
What noise?
No, the shed. Me swearing.
Oh,
Guys.
the shed. You swearing. I'm thinking,
Wow.
oh no, we've got like an annoying noise behind us.
We actually have
That's
a
me.
canary.
That's me.
Oh, sorry.
My voice. It's me speaking. It's me speaking.
I'm usually so used to it.
Yeah, you just tune it out now. But I think that over that run after the pie incident, you just seem to relax a lot more. And the other problem, the one issue I do have with you is that you make me agree with Paul all the time. Stop doing that. Because I don't like agreeing with Paul.
Paul has good points.
But Burger Week.
Burger Week is brilliant.
I agreed with Paul 100%. There was only one burger I wanted to try. It was your one.
Oh,
And
it was clearly just the salmon patty.
Yeah, it was the salmon patty. And I like, a really good beef burger, and I'm not a big fish person, but that one there, just everything about it looked and sounded amazing.
Yes.
Oh, very kind.
That week he was dying to put his face in your buns, Fiona.
But no, I have to give it to James. I basically wanted to fight everyone out the way. They were amazing.
Hip check.
So did you get to try everyone else's burgers that day?
Oh, look, every bake, once we're done and dusted, I get really hangry. So I'm like, you better wrap it up so that we can just try it. And everyone dived in and it was really nice. I'm pretty sure I hung out at Noel's bench quite a bit, like a dog going, what do you got, Noel? What do you got?
His stuff did look good.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that he's won so many ribbons for it.
Yeah, he printed those out on his computer though.
True, but it's a world that doesn't give out ribbons that much anymore. Again, I'm a teacher. We don't give out ribbons anywhere.
Yeah.
How are your students surviving? What will they put in their photo albums? I've got photo albums of ribbons. Do you want me to show you?
No, not really.
Most of them are kind of like you tried and nice attempts there.
I got one once for participating in tunnel ball.
High five.
Participation. Woo!
Oh, outstanding.
But
those are the memories you cherish.
They are the memories that you keep forever. They're the perfect ones. So I think that last week was a bit of I didn't cope. I didn't
I'm
cope.
still in denial. This interview is just a figment of my imagination. It's like we're watching a bad episode of Black Mirror.
It is actually. I'd like to put the last 2 weeks together, I think, and sort of box them in because the last you heard us on the show. We implored you to get better. Now, why could you not find a time machine and make our wishes come true?
I'm sorry I didn't build a TARDIS while I was trying to bake the 12 animals of the Zodiac.
Well, that's your problem. Maybe if you'd gone with 8, you would have succeeded.
See, you should have thought while you were on the cooling rack to go, hey, occult power couple people, can you just whiz me back in time so I can rectify this shiznit? Oh, but that causes a paradox because then she wouldn't have been on then to say whiz me back. Oh, I get why, Fiona. It's okay.
She sometimes answers her own questions as she asks them, which we love.
I had a lot despite the pressure of that week, I had so much fun because I really loved the idea. I was inspired by something I saw on social media about making these little animals and, thought, it'll be different, hopefully. And the flavour goes with it as well because I wanted to sort of do... I think that was my thing in the end, unconsciously. I ended up doing a lot of sort of Asian fusion type.
Yeah.
And modernising them or Australianising them, whatever you want to call it. And I thought, Black Sesame creme pat with these little animals made sense in terms of the narrative. So I was always trying to think of the whole thing. This week, I was really happy with that. I made a really cool, practice one. And I loved, the whole story of, not just making out of gingerbread, but trying to sort of do the whole Middle Eastern sort of theme all together.
Godzilla camel.
Hey, that camel may have destroyed Cairo, but
that was Christy's favourite part of the whole week. And we're not joking. Her favourite part of the whole week, she could not get over the camel.
It was about as big as Boyan's Sphinx.
You could have put them together and it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
I actually, in all honesty, about the signs of the zodiac, it was a really good idea and I really liked it. My only thing was that much pressure and 12. But I'm over it now. I'm over it. I'm over it because
you're a champion bridge builder now, aren't you, Bucky boy? Cannon. You see the look I'm getting.
Et tu, Christy.
No, but you're missing half the narrative as well, which is the tiger ate one of the other animals, and I think someone else ate someone else. So
there we go.
It was the survivors of the zodiac cannibalism.
Showdown at the zoo.
It was Thunderdome.
It's a Tina Arena. Tina Turner. Although I'd like to think Tina Arena
in Mad Max.
Yeah, she was in the new ones because
Well,
Tina Turner's like, you know, in her retirement years.
So in other words, Johnny Young's fixing the cars?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah, and you got Danny Minogue and Kylie Minogue doing their duet in the background.
Okay. We are the king and queen of tangents, so I'll take that any day of the week. But I mean, we would rather not be talking to you this week. We'd much rather you were still in there. Although not actually still in there because, you know, recording was a while ago, and if you were still in there, it would be a bit creepy and weird.
I'm just hanging out.
She's just hanging out. Maggie! It's like Pity hanging rock. Maggie!
Miranda! Slow down, wait up for me.
But it's been, and you mentioned this before, and this is, it comes back around to how this, let's call it a show, exists, which is that it's the online community around Bake Off Australia. And I think one of the things that we've talked about a lot, Paul and Tegan have mentioned it a few times, we've mentioned it a few times, is that we actually think that most of the bakers in Bake Off Australia this year would probably have made the last 3 in the most recent series of the UK British Bake Off.
Yeah.
The standard's actually been that high.
Excellent. I'll get my UK passport and I'm on my way.
Well, remember, there's a whole format change going on there now, so you may want to... You know,
just get in contact with Channel 4. I believe that's who's got the rights to it.
Just give Paul Hollywood a ring.
Yeah, maybe they won't allow the Sweary Canary because, you know, the Brits are all that stiff upper lip shit.
They are. But what I think came across, and it was from episode 1 in this series, was the quality of the baking overall, and you've already touched on this with people like Monica and Noel and Antonio, obviously, but everybody in that shed was just baking amazing stuff from the get-go.
Yeah.
And just the quality of bakes that everyone was able to put together was so much higher than the most recent series of British Bake Off that it was almost sort of unfair that you were all in the same tent. Because
in the company of Antonio, yeah, really unfair.
I know, like, why did they put you with a savant, a baking savant?
Yeah, I reckon they just the new format for the Bake Off should just be Antonio presiding over everyone while the rest of us fight UFC stars.
And it does also come back to the most helpful in many ways part of the tent for me, which is there's a lot of assistance going on this year.
Yeah, and this is what I said to Paul and Tegan. It was really genuine. I think we sort of, you know, didn't really know whether it was allowed in, you know, the first F, but then after that we all settled in and thought, we do what we want. And
it's you guys.
And what are they, to be honest, and look, in all honesty, and I sort of whinged about it a little bit, but in all honesty, what are they going to do if everyone in the tent decides to help everybody else? Are they going to just throw everyone out and start again?
No, I think it's perfectly reasonable. They're all consenting adults, apart from one boy who had to get permission slip from his parents to help. But they're all consenting adults, and what passes between 2 consenting adults and a boy with a permission slip is not something that we should really be critiquing, because they know what they're in for, and as long as everyone respectfully, you know, no one's forcing creme pat onto someone who doesn't want creme pat, it's fine.
And if I want to go out to the cheesecake shop and come back to buy something for Noel to put up, then I'm helping.
Okay, Noel, I went to Michelle's patisserie.
No, we'll move on. But if Noel goes, I don't really use chocolate and I don't really like chocolate, so someone just goes out and buys him a chocolate cake and goes, there you go, Noel, don't have to do that. We've got you covered. We've got you covered. Look at the icing. It's beautiful icing. Look, sprinkles.
Yes.
Oh, I would be the sort of person to help and sort of say, oh, it's bread week. Here's your chocolate cake. Good luck.
Follow-up question to that, by the way, because I mentioned sprinkles and I was talking about, adorning things. And this brings me to a point, and you are probably the best person to answer, given you're one half of the dynamic duo. Did Olivia on the way to the bake-off shed stop by a toy shop and just buy a toy activity set?
Baby's first baking kit.
Yeah, with all the palm trees and because that's genius. As far as
I love that. Liv is just really, really creative, and it's just so her. So we would just talk all the time, and she's just, your rigid sort of like country girl, so to speak, but she's got great ideas, and I loved that. Not everything has to be edible, but who says plastic isn't?
She's exactly, well, I've known some kids who've given it a red hot go. But I mean, the other thing with Liv is, as you said, that she's, got a lot of really good ideas and got a lot of designs. Apparently at the moment, half of her designs are on my wine collection, but that's a different story. That's a different story altogether. I made mention of the 100 trip the other day on Twitter, and yes, apparently now my wine is hers. So
all my wines belong
to us. Yes. Exactly. But I just love that level of creativeness of like plastic trees, and then the next week it's like, yeah, let's just do it again.
But I think it's like to the editors and the producers of Bake Off is they've not only cast really authentic and creative and talented and passionate people, but they've been able to show that really well. And like when you were interviewed on the cooling rack, that's something I'm really glad Tegan and Paul asked of you, was like, do you think what was shown reflects what happened in the tent? And keep calling it the tent, but it's the shed that you guys are in. And it was really cool to hear that, yes, it was like that.
Yeah, it really was. And the thing that we were all really excited, once the show sort of started airing and stuff, was we were all so focused on what we were doing at the time. We wanted to see what everyone else was doing at the time as well, and see how that's all come together from start to finish, because we weren't aware of what was going on. We might catch snippets, but we weren't there obviously. So I was really excited to see what everyone else was making, how they made it, how they went through the challenges. And yeah, absolutely, to the credit of the producers, they've just put something together that just looks really authentic. It really showcased our friendships and our experiences in the shed. So it's been a real credit to them, and also to their credit is the reason why I think it was so authentic is the shed itself, in terms of the people behind it. They created this really lovely atmosphere whereby we could sort of just run with what we wanted to do, really, in terms of running over, talking about baking, mucking around, helping. It's great.
And I think that for me, this week, one of the things that typified that a little bit, and again, I've sort of made fun of that teen challenge concept. But what I did think really showed that this week was when it came to the technical in this week's episode, where everyone's going, what? Except for Liesl with German heritage, who's going, finally, this pays off. And then everyone is running over to Liesl going, so how do you do this? What is this? What is it? And Liesl's just dispensing advice left, right and centre about what it is. And I thought that really typified for me a large part of the season. Everyone going, no idea. And Liesl going, I know. Come ask me.
999.
9.
From the land of chocolate.
That was 10 minutes ago.
Noel would not go there.
No.
Noel did give me the impression that he would go to the land of Carib.
The land of tea.
The land of tea?
The land of tea.
Tasmanian honey.
Yes. Before I forget, one thing that I want to say on your behalf, Fiona, to Paul is he did bag Pandan, and I know that because I was then able to talk about it being Martian ass. So
that's who it was. Oh, my apologies to Paul. I was accusing one of them. It was you.
No. Paul didn't like it. He called it ass, and then I corrected him and said it tastes like Martian ass, which makes it sound like I'm having intergalactic sex, and I'm not. Because
what I really want to point out at this point in time is that Tegan and I are in the clear. Tegan and I are in the clear. Paul and Christy, on the other hand, got some splaining to do.
Yes. Look, I think it's just because I've had suburban pandan. I'm sure if I ate, Fiona's pandan, it'd be fine.
You're going to sit there and you're going to eat it and you're going to like it.
Yes, miss. Pandan. It's fine. Oh.
What the hell was that voice?
I don't know. It just comes out.
It does.
I'm overexcited.
I know you are.
It's an evening and I'm here talking to Fiona. Like, it's like a dream that's real. And you know how weird my dreams get.
Oh dear, this is segueing into something terrible.
Let's move on, shall we? Can you get us out of this bind? Can you get us out of this bind?
Is there anything you want to tie it all back to Bake Off so that we're not sort of just random people ranting?
Please do.
Let's do that.
Well, I do love a rant, bless it. I have to say thank you so much for your jumper spotting throughout the series for me.
It's beautiful.
I'm not a morning person, so the days on Bake Off were really early morning, so I could barely see, let alone get clothes on. So I didn't even know half the time what I was actually putting on.
And yeah, it has killed one of our running parts of the podcast now, which is the Fiona's jumpers on point.
No, we can do something really creepy and tweet her and go, what are you wearing? What are you wearing this week, Fiona? Ooh.
No, so thank you for instilling me with a little bit of confidence, because I said to the other bakers the first time I met Diana, I thought, if she can fucking bake as well as looking like that, I'm going to, right? She looked like she got dressed by fucking little Disney birds.
That is, I'm sure that's how she wakes up.
That's right. So then I was like, oh, yep, let's just hope that I put pants on while I go into the shed. And so, yeah, for you guys to point out the jumper game really meant a lot to me. So.
Oh, cool. And so your mum making the aprons, were they pre-made or did she match them to your wardrobe, or how did they come about?
So a shout out to
Mama Sweary Canary.
It's your thing now, you're swearing out.
Pretty much. My mum is swearing at me right now. And I basically messaged Mum way back home in little old Adelaide and said, I need some aprons to go on Bake Off. Gave her a couple of ideas. And she, bless her, she loves a bargain. So she went to Spotlight and went and got all these fabric swatches, from which I think she delved into the bargain bin, because she sent me a photo and there was 4 pieces of fabric. One was, just some sort of flowery pattern, which I think ended up being one of the other aprons that I ended up wearing. One was just some terrible poo brown colour, which I don't know what was happening. And then you'll love this one. The last swatch was like a cartoon dinosaur print that you
she should have made that for Olivia.
But I was just like, Mum, I can't wear that. There's what are you doing? So I ended up choosing whatever colour that was the blandest that, hopefully wouldn't stand out too much. And then I look back at the photos that I sent her for inspiration, and she comes up with the Bavarian beer wench apron with frills and stuff. I'm like, what the hell? And so I was a week out from leaving to go to Bake Off, and there was no time for her to make another one and send it to me on time. So I had to go with what she sent me. And in the end, I was just like, this is the girliest thing ever. But luckily, you're standing behind a bench for most of the time, except for that twirl into the Bake Off shed, which didn't help.
But it did actually help to distract from the fact that you had all this swearing and rage build up inside you, because you've got this very floral girly sort of apron on, and it's like, fuck!
It distracted from the shit bakes is what you're saying, Chris. Yeah.
I wasn't saying. I was insinuating that it was distracting from things that didn't go to plan.
But no, on that note though, I remember you, Christy, pointing out and asking about the aprons, which was a great, lovely little opportunity for me to give a shout out to my mum, because I get to do so on the show. But I have a bit of a surprise for you, miss, because you specifically asked about one of the aprons. I'm popping one of the aprons that I wore on the show that Mama Sweary Canary made for me for you.
Oh my God!
And that's the noise I said you'd get.
So
I can't breathe. You do the rest of the podcast.
She's only slightly hyperventilating.
Thank you so much.
I just thought you absolutely deserve it with all the fashionista things. So this was the only way I could possibly thank you guys for your support during the show. So
Oh, that's so sweet.
No, that's
Thank
outstandingly
you.
wonderful. Thank you very much. And again,
Check
it's
to see photos of Chris wearing it too.
Oh, I think you'll be the first one wearing it, to be honest. I'm kind of barred from the kitchen most of the time, so
yeah, she's not lying. Like, there is a KitchenAid in the kitchen. It's mine. It's actually mine. I brought it with me. So yeah, I sort of banned her from the kitchen. So you probably will get a photo of me wearing it too. So
and only it no.
no,
Now I told you I get awkward.
she's finally gone too far.
I've gone too far. Okay.
Okay,
Like I said, okay, you guys go.
Well,
I'll just sit here and just
I'll wrap it up. You just sit here and so we sort of do need to wrap it up a little bit, I think, because I think this may be our longest one ever, given that it was the shortest cooling rack ever. We're meeting our goals of always outstripping the length of the cooling rack.
they have quality.
We have quantity. And that's what we shoot for here at the Washing Up. Quantity. Not so much the quality. But no, it's been an absolute delight and an absolute pleasure over the last few weeks, interacting with you first of all on Twitter and now talking to you again tonight. It's been genuinely wonderful and fantastic. And just basically thank you for embracing the social media side of it. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for embracing all of us on the show. And yeah, I'm not going anywhere far from Twitter while the rest of the show is still going on.
Okay, perfect. So that means the last couple of weeks will be, Sweary Canary Central again as per normal.
Yay.
So with that in mind,
I'm stocking up on the swearing gifts.
as you should, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So with that in mind, thank you especially to Fiona for this week. Thank you, of course, to Tegan and Paul for butchering their normal rundown, because without that, we wouldn't have this opportunity, and we're really thankful for that too. And we will see you where we're pretty sure normal services, as normal as it can be, will be resumed for next week. Catch you all later.